SideFx Houdini is one of the best 3D packages that many artists use to create stunning VFX work, but probably you don't know that it was used by many indie and AAA studios to help them work on some of the best video games of the last decade. Even though Houdini is not always the primary 3D program in production pipelines, it played a very important role in finishing many video games in time with the highest quality possible. In this video, we will see how Houdini was used in creating many indie and AAA video game titles. Horizon Zero Dawn. Guerrilla Games used Houdini for Horizon Zero Dawn for rivers and water effects using the Houdini plugin inside Maya to allow the environment artists to create and modify the rivers. One of the senior artists in Guerrilla Games made a system to create a blend between ice effects and the interior environments. They also used Houdini to do prototyping for clouds, they did the placement of water splashes, and they used Houdini for the texture-based animation for crowds, in addition to creating cable and lighting effects inside tunnels. They also used Houdini to create small general pipeline tools for different kinds of purposes, such as cables on trees, robo-brain patterns, and electricity or lighting effects on various parts of the environment. Far Cry 5. In Far Cry 5, Ubisoft used Houdini to build the beautifully realistic world set in Montana. Their procedural tech art team developed tools in Houdini for freshwater, power lines, sand, cliffs, fog density maps, and a world map. Using Houdini engine, these tools were fully integrated into the Ubisoft game editor, so that game artists could craft the world using Houdini tools from the game editor environment they are comfortable with. The procedural workflows were used to alleviate tedious and time-consuming tasks, and to allow the game artists to focus on creating beautiful, immersive worlds and fun gameplay. Mafia III. Mafia III is a story-driven open-world game from a studio called Hangar 13, in which the developers used Houdini primarily for soft body and rigid body simulations. They used it on big set pieces such as towers and bridges falling down, and they leveraged Houdini core competency in dynamics to generate that content. They also used pyro and flip fluids to generate sprite content. These are flip boats of sims that then played on camera facing particles. Also, since Mafia 3 is a large open world game, it is time consuming in terms of how much content they had to build, so they made sure to use Houdini for a number of tasks. For example, they used it to update a large number of items scattered all around the city using point clouds to distribute objects in a massive open world game, which left more time for designers to focus on more creative tasks. In addition to that, they used Houdini tool building features by supplying the game artists small tools to quickly populate the environment, such as adding roads, fences, and so on. Ghost Recon Wildlands. Ubisoft used Houdini for their game Ghost Recon Wildlands, and from the very beginning they started a prototype where they put Houdini at the core of the project. They realized that the scope of Houdini was not just visual effects, because it is an amazing toolbox, and they have been able to extend the range of its use in this project to help pretty much everyone get their part of the project done using Houdini. They created most of the natural scenes and environments for Ghost Recon Wildlands by relying on Houdini as a primary tool for creating large-scale environments with all its natural elements such as roads, villages, rivers, vegetation, and so on. Killzone. For this game, Houdini has been used to generate a wide range of realistic in-game effects ranging from ocean waves, destruction, cloth simulations, terrain generation, and more. In Killzone Shadowfall, the effects work got much more ambitious and Houdini played a big part. Houdini's ability to render a complete effect as an animated sprite let Guerrilla Games retain fine details, and rendering in Houdini allowed them to separate different lighting passes and their motion vectors, making it easier to fluently integrate the effects in real-time scenes. Taking a procedural approach allowed them to tweak the parameters of an effect to find the minimum of render performance or memory footprint without changing the essence of the effect itself. Also, the last-minute changes take place, and Houdini's non-destructive workflow makes those changes easier. In addition to that, the flexibility that Houdini provides to move data around from one type to another is a great match with the creative thinking of coders that are developing a game engine. Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. For the most part, Naughty Dog, the developers of Uncharted 4, used Houdini to create pre-baked animations either through dynamic operators or surface operators, which then get transferred to a game engine via joint animation in Maya. On a game like Uncharted 4, that is mostly rigid body fracturing and destruction. Then there were a few little surface operator networks for things like cloth and moving liquids. The dynamic water system in Uncharted 4 is very complex and required a large amount of setup to get it to work. From Houdini's standpoint, it was primarily used for texture generation and determining parameters for the generation of the meshes in-game. They started off with the background geometry and then a rough water guide from design, as water levels needed to be highly art-directed. Then they start to sculpt the water height as they saw fit. Once you had a set of textures in the game for a river, you could paint in Houdini and have it update in-game relatively quickly, making art iterations pretty smoothly. They don't have a game editor of any sort, so this was the best thing they could do. Houdini gave Naughty Dog a very quick turnaround for developing all the components and data needed for the rivers. There were at least 15 large river chunks that had to be hand-painted, so having everything in one place as opposed to an array of Python tools in Maya was nice, as well as being able to easily modify the setup whenever they felt it was necessary. Trailmaker. Trailmaker is an open-world vehicle building game in which you can make any kind of vehicle you can think of. To create this game, the developers had many problems creating the game's world, so they used Houdini because it offers faster and procedural ways of creating terrains, cliffs, forests, bridges, and so on. And then they put it together in the Unity game engine. The team was also able to create all the other assets and edit them quickly by integrating Houdini to Unity so they can edit the curves and shapes of those assets in real time, such as the shapes of bridges and hills, because this way it is even more time efficient. Exile Skys. Exile Skys is a mobile game created by a small Tokyo-based company called DMM. The problem the developers faced was to finish the game in time with a very small team of 2 developers. They wanted to find a way to create a good-looking video game with all its terrains and airships without relying on a graphic designer. So they used Houdini because of its ability to generate most of the things they wanted to integrate into the game. So to generate the actual terrain, they took a mountain preset and a desert preset and linked them together to the mountains on top and the desert below, and then found a way to make the two look natural together. The good thing about using Houdini for this type of work is the fact that they always had the possibility to modify their work at any time during production to generate a different look for the desert or the canyons in the terrain. Modern Combat Versus. Modern Combat Versus is a mobile game that tried to push graphics in this category of video games to reach something close to the AAA video game standards using Houdini. During the production of this game, the team created a broad range of tools to generate high-quality environment backgrounds and mesh processing tools for destruction effects. Also, they used it to generate environment assets such as mountains, electrical cable networks, bridges, buildings, and much more. And they also developed later on small tools to help them create massive content for their game procedurally. Planet Alpha. Planet Alpha is an adventure that takes place in a living alien world where you have the ability to control the day and night cycle. It combines fast platforming, puzzles, and stealth elements with a unique art style to create unique experience for players. Houdini was used by a team of 3 artists to create a large variety of assets for different environments such as jungles, deserts, mountains, and floating islands. They also used Houdini to model characters, generate mountains, clouds, rigid body collisions, and much more. Overall, they used Houdini's procedural workflow to save time because they needed a lot of iterations and automation to make this project possible. Drop Zone. Sparky Pants Studios' Drop Zone trailer was made by Real Time UK, in which a legion of pilots take aim against a hive of alien creatures. Having Houdini on this job allowed Real Time UK to take advantage of its powerful soft body tools, volume tools, and particle and pyro effects. This helped them push the quality and increase the detail of the effects to a higher level. They are always trying to create bigger and better effects, and Houdini helped them to achieve this result. Real Time UK's use of Houdini was not limited just to aliens. The studio had also to generate the vast environments seen in the trailer. They began with the large land masses in the planets, using World Machine to build the geometry for the ice surface of the moon of Europa. Smite to Hell and Back. In Smite to Hell and Back, Real Time UK had many challenges to go through to create the visually stunning cinematic of this video game, and one of the effects they had to do is the lava simulation. The fluid system in Houdini is very powerful and allowed them to easily control the viscosity of the lava with a custom temperature attribute. As the temperature cools down across surfaces, it slowly solidifies the liquid. Using volumes, they created zones that would maintain the heat and also areas that would cool faster as it got closer to the ice. Real Time UK also used velocity forces to control the speed and direction of the lava and to force it where artists desired, rather than just relying on its natural flow across the environment. Ultimately, Real Time UK was able to generate complex environments and effects, but importantly, it had to be done fast with the ability to incorporate plenty of interactions, something the studio directly chose Houdini for. I hope you found this video useful and informative. If you have something to add, please leave it in the comment section below. Also, you can check some of our previous videos. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next one.